Hey, open the door, are you out of your mind? My husband yelled. I could probably hear my in-laws saying the same thing from the other side of the door, but I didn't care. I didn't need their forgiveness. I waved and smiled at the three of them and said, "Enjoy the ride. Hope you find your way back without me. Good luck. My name is Nancy. I'm 30 years old, and I work in an office. I've been married for a year, but we don't have kids yet. When I was single, I liked taking train trips on my days off. My friends would ask, 'Aren't you lonely traveling alone?' But I actually liked it. I could go at my own pace and didn't have to follow a schedule. Sure, it got lonely sometimes, but it was still fun. I have a favorite travel magazine that I sometimes use to plan my trips. One day, while I was on one of my usual trips, I saw someone I recognized. Wait, isn't that the same guy I saw last week? After a few more times, I thought it might be fate, if I were into that kind of thing, but honestly, I felt a little scared. It turned out he felt the same way. "Sorry, I think we've met before, last week, and the week before, at different places," he said, looking nervous. "Wait, do you think I'm following you?" I asked, confused. To explain, I opened my travel magazine and said, "I'm just following trips in this magazine." Surprised, he said, "Me too," and showed me the same magazine, smiling. That's how I met my husband, Jace. He was really interesting. I'm careful and tend to pack a lot for my trips, but Jace liked to travel light. "I don't need much, with cashless payments. I only need my phone," he said, laughing. It was nice talking to someone so different from me. We got along really well, talking about our favorite places to visit, and exchanged phone numbers. We both liked traveling alone, but we started going on trips together. I even found that local food tasted better when shared. 6 months later, Jace asked me out. I was happy about it, and we decided to get married soon after. I thought our life as newlyweds would be perfect, but things changed when Jace's parents, Alan and Daisy, became involved. They live about 30 minutes away from us. They're in their 50s, and Daisy works part-time. At first, they used to visit us, but recently, we had been keeping some distance. That was until one thing happened. "Hey, Jace, let's go out on our next day off," I suggested. "Sounds good," he said. Our tradition of taking short trips to tourist spots continued. Jace, who loved minimalism, had recently cut down on his belongings and now only carried his phone, even asking me to hold his wallet. "It feels so light, I don't even look like I'm going out," he said with a happy smile. I thought, at least carry your own wallet, but it wasn't really a problem. It was an ordinary conversation, but that day felt different. "Oh, by the way, Dad and Mom's wedding anniversary is coming up soon. How about we invite my parents on our next trip?" Jace suddenly suggested. His words made me nervous. I had my reasons, but I couldn't just say no. "Yeah, that sounds good. We haven't seen Daisy and Alan in a while," I replied, trying to hide my discomfort. Jace didn't notice my uneasy expression. The next day, when I brought up my worries, he shrugged and said, "I know it might be awkward, but I'll do my best." That didn't exactly make me feel better, but I decided to push through. Honestly, I'm not comfortable around my in-laws. They're not bad people, but we're just not a good match. I'm quiet and prefer calm, while they're loud and energetic. Being around people like that drains me. When I first met my in-laws, their energy was overwhelming. "Nice to meet you. I'm Jace's mom, Daisy," she said loudly, "and I'm the dad," Alan added, both of them acting like comedians. I froze up. We all went out to eat at their chosen restaurant. I thought it might be somewhere special to them, but it turned out to be an all-you-can-eat buffet. It felt odd meeting Jace's parents for the first time at such a casual place. Daisy said, "We were so nervous today. We haven't eaten anything since morning," but she didn't seem nervous at all. "Yeah, we have to get our money's worth," Alan added, revealing why they skipped breakfast. Their loud voices made people at nearby tables laugh. I was embarrassed and wanted to leave. I glanced over at Jace, hoping he felt the same way, but he wasn't there. He had gone to get food. His parents followed, piling their plates high. Are they planning to eat everything in sight? I thought, can I really be part of this family? I forced a smile and hardly ate that day, feeling nervous. Despite feeling unsure about my future with Jace, I was touched when they said as we left, "What a wonderful girlfriend Jace has. He may be awkward, but please take care of him, Nancy." That made me happy. I loved Jace, and I thought his parents weren't bad people, so, when he proposed a few months later, I didn't hesitate. But it turns out, I'm not very good at reading people. At our wedding, my in-laws completely ignored the ceremony and focused only on eating, which really disappointed my parents. Jace has a brother, Edward, who seemed to be the only sensible one. I'm sorry about my parents acting so embarrassingly. It's really shameful. Edward apologized when he came over to greet us. According to my parents, Edward, who lives alone, doesn't get along well with his parents. It seems the feeling is mutual, because they once complained. That boy always complains too much. Just the other day, he bragged about buying several eggs when they were limited to one per person, and I scolded him for it, Alan said, shaking his head. Annoyed, Edward responded, don't you feel guilty taking advantage of others? Hearing that, I thought, isn't he right? What's wrong with that? I agreed with Edward at the time, but my feelings changed when my in-laws came to visit our new home. They came empty-handed, which was fine, but then they started going through our shelves, excitedly saying, isn't this the snack they're advertising on TV? I've been wanting to try it, and this one too. They were treating my snacks like a treasure hunt, even though I bought them. Jace, without thinking, said, if you want them, just take them home. It's fine, right, Nancy? I wanted to slap him then and there. All I could do was give a forced smile. I had a feeling before, but now it was clear, my in-laws were taking advantage of us. They kept saying, I want this, I want that. In the early days of our marriage, they visited every week, sensing an opportunity to take more, and it started driving me crazy. Hey, don't you think Daisy and Alan are a bit off? They're so annoying, I snapped one day, frustrated. We ended up fighting, even though I was really angry. Jace looked confused and tried to calm me down. No, not really, they've always been like this, don't worry about it, he said, patting my shoulder lightly, which only made me angrier. Are you kidding me? If this keeps up, I'll divorce you, I yelled. My outburst seemed to shock him, and he quickly put a stop to his parents' visits. I'm not sure what Jace said to them, but from then on, things were peaceful. Still, the idea of traveling with my in-laws made me nervous. The day of the trip, I was surprised to see them waiting. It's been a while, Nancy. I heard you've been busy with work. Must be tough, my mother-in-law said, but I wasn't feeling calm. What really caught my attention was their luggage, or rather, the lack of it. Daisy, Ellen, where's your luggage? I asked, noticing they hadn't brought anything with them, not even for a day trip. We wanted to be ready to move quickly, and I have a sore shoulder, Daisy said, sounding like she was giving the same excuse I'd heard before. It didn't make sense. The rest of the trip went just as badly as I feared. It didn't take long for my in-laws to forget their wallets. That's strange, isn't it? They said, acting clueless. I thought, maybe we should just cancel this trip, but Jace didn't get my frustration. He looked exasperated and said, my parents have always been like this. I'll pay for them, but they'll pay me back. So, the trip continued. As my in-laws laughed and apologized, I could only feel disgusted. Even after we got to our destination, their rude behavior didn't stop. They complained to the staff, isn't there any free tasting? Wow, that's cheap. Then, when I bought a drink and hadn't even taken a sip, Daisy said, can I have a sip? I'm thirsty too. I can't believe I forgot my wallet. I forced a smile, feeling frustrated. Jace stepped in and said, stop it, it's embarrassing, I'll buy you one. Alan muttered, what a stingy woman, no compassion. I heard that, and it stung. I should have left, but I was too stubborn. This happened again twice. My mother-in-law loved the first trip so much, she asked Jace for another. When I saw them waiting on the platform, I felt chills. This time, they brought their wallets, but when it was time to pay, oh no, this is the wallet I used before. I rushed out, Daisy said. It was an obvious lie, only Jace believed it. On the third trip, they forgot their wallets again. By then, it was clear, it was on purpose. Daisy, did you deliberately forget your wallet? You didn't plan on paying, did you? I asked, getting suspicious. I hit the nail on the head, and her face turned red. Hey, that's rude. Apologize to Daisy, Alan demanded. No way, I snapped. I've been thinking this for a while. You're both just too greedy. Jace was caught in the middle of the argument, looking lost. Tourists around us were watching, and Jace seemed ashamed when he noticed. Finally, he broke down in tears and said, stop it, please. I felt so disillusioned, but my in-laws acted differently. Daisy rushed over to Jace. I'm sorry, Jace, it's my fault. You're so kind to cry for me, she said, trying to comfort him. Alan just stood silently beside her. I didn't know what to think of this whole mess. All I could think was, yeah, this is impossible. I want a divorce. Seeing Jace cry, my in-laws seemed to lose their fight. Nancy, we know we've been wrong. We've been taking advantage of Jace's money. We shouldn't have, but it's his money, they admitted. I wasn't sure why they said it again, but their words were full of sarcasm and showed no real regret. It was clear now, they had been pretending to forget their wallets on purpose. Daisy called it Jace's money, but we both work, and his salary is only a little higher than mine. We didn't make much more than each other. Lately, every trip with my in-laws ended with them demanding things. I want this. Maybe some gifts for the neighbors. What's that? Buy it for me. Jace's credit card bills kept growing higher, and we had been mostly living off my salary for a while. When we got married, I considered our money as family money and thought we should spend only within our limits. I didn't want to be a burden on Jace. The thing that really upset me was when Jace, who never carried cash, looked at the prices at our travel destination and said, "What, only cash here?" Then he pulled out my wallet, which only had a few coins in it. "I messed up. You know I don't carry cash," he said, not meaning anything by it. Even now, thinking about it makes me mad. I always paid for my own things, but my in-laws probably thought I was just living off Jace and complaining. We shared living expenses, so their accusations felt unfair. As I watched Jace cry and Alan comfort him, I thought for a moment, then said, "I was wrong too. Sorry for being rude. You guys go ahead on the train. I'll buy some drinks and catch up." I smiled calmly, and Jace and my in-laws got on the train. A few minutes later, their smiles turned to panic when I didn't return. Jace must have realized something was wrong and messaged me, "Nancy, are you coming? The train is about to leave." Just then, the heavy doors began to close. I could see Jace's panicked face from the platform. It seemed like he was shouting something. I replied to his message, "I'm divorcing you. If your parents are so important, go live happily with them. Goodbye." I ignored his calls and thought, doesn't he care about being a burden on the train? He sent several more messages, but I ignored them all. Jace's face through the door slowly turned to anger. "Hey, open this door. Are you crazy? I won't forgive you," Jace yelled, as if I needed his permission. The parents-in-law were yelling too, but I couldn't hear them. Smiling at the three of them, I said, "Enjoy the ride. Hope you find your way back without me. Good luck." The train quickly disappeared from sight. I knew it wouldn't stop for a while, and walking back would be difficult. After the train was gone, I hurried home to pack and left. I stayed with a friend I had been talking to about divorce. Jace bombarded me with messages, but they stopped suddenly. His phone must have died. He often forgot to charge it, and it was only at 20% that morning. His portable charger, along with his wallet, was in my bag. I left everything he'd entrusted to me at home. I imagined he was panicking, but that wasn't my problem. While discussing my next steps with my friend, I got an unexpected call from Edward, Jace's brother. "Nancy, I'm sorry, did something happen?" Edward explained that Jace's phone had died, and in his panic, he dropped it, breaking the screen. Unable to reach me, the desperate parents-in-law had only one person to call, Edward. I got contacted, but all I heard was, "Ask Nancy for the reason." He didn't seem keen on saying more. I told Edward everything about Jace and my parents-in-law. As I spoke, I could hear his voice getting more intense on the other end of the line. "Are you crazy? What's wrong with you?" Edward snapped. I was taken aback. "Excuse me?" Edward's tone was sharp and commanding, and when he got this angry, Jace and their parents couldn't argue back. I heard them bickering in the background, but I quietly hung up. Jace wasn't happy about the divorce, but once I made it clear through a lawyer that I wanted no further contact, he reluctantly agreed. Edward later told me that my parents-in-law had always been difficult, disliked by neighbors and even people they knew from school. When Jace moved back to his parents' house, he quickly became the talk of the neighborhood. Now, the three of them rarely go out. Jace's colleagues treated him awkwardly, unsure how to talk about the quick divorce. "I'm relieved to be done with them," Edward told me, laughing, that his parents were infamous at the local supermarket for demanding discounts. "This is expired, so give me a discount, or it's a little damaged. I'll take it for free." He expressed his long-standing embarrassment at their behavior. It turns out, my in-laws were both gambling addicts, often skimping on food, which explained their constant hunger and lack of money. As for my divorce, I say it was a difference in values. If anyone can tolerate such behavior, they must be incredibly broad-minded. It was simply too much for me. I've been working steadily and even started a side job as a web writer after my travel blog caught a publisher's attention. I still travel, combining it with writing assignments. Solo travel suits me best. Last month, I made a decent income from writing, and now I'm planning to take a relaxing vacation at a resort far away. I'm 30, and life is just beginning.